What do you make of what psychedelics has? You don't mention it in the book, but it is another interesting example of modern science coming in and saying, look at this stuff. Now, I'm a skeptic. I was always a skeptic about this until I did it, until I used some of these psychedelic drugs. And all I can tell you, Charles, and it's maybe just me, but I'm absolutely convinced that they provide some way. They're sort of the sacraments the earth has given us to intuit what it is to see God.
I've had the story that I'm about to tell. I tell part of it in the book, but not all of it, and I'll tell all of it here. When I was in Thailand, I was in my 20s, and I tried to learn transcendental meditation, and I had the help of a guy I called Peter the Monk. He was in his early 30s. He was an American. He wasn't just a backpacker. He had been living in a Buddhist temple for a couple of years and was very adept at reaching deep meditative states. And he was unable to do that much with me, but finally he said, well, it's better if you do it with meditation, but maybe you should try some LSD. And so he provided me with some and came over to be with me while I took it. And I did, and the experience was a couple of memories I take away from it. One was that it was a good trip, but not that I did not have any glorious insights. But a second thing is that I got an intimation of what you apparently have gotten more of. And that is this very common understanding, both in meditation and in psychedelics, of the oneness of things being interconnected at a very deep level, all sorts of things. And I find the accounts of those experiences to be compelling. I have other reasons for thinking that they are probably true. I would really like to experience them myself, and I've thought about trying some psychedelics to do it, because I'm with you. There is a world out there, you better perhaps say a universe, to which we do not have easy access. And it might very well be that chemically you are getting some access to that you can turn to your advantage in trying to understand these things. So the thing is, I just don't have a good source for these psychedelics.
Science actually has done some work on this, interestingly enough. And one of the things you see they've studied the brains of meditative monks who've been in meditation for decades, and also nuns in Europe. In other words, they've done cross-sectarian Catholics and Buddhists, and look at their brain structure and what's working in that brain structure, and what is interesting about their brain structure is that one part of the brain is very much more advanced than in most other humans, very much more developed. And we know the brain is plastic and can change and evolve, and they have developed that brain. And you know what? When they do the MRI and they give you MDMA or psilocybin, in particular psilocybin, it's exactly that same part of the brain that lights up. Exactly. Boom.
So which psychedelic do you recommend I take?
Psilocybin. Mushrooms. It's the simplest and most basic and non-overwhelming in some ways, or should be. But again, I would say another thing about those experiences, apart from oneness, which is absolutely part of them. Agape. Right? So agape is the mystery. Agape is the thing that evolution did not require. Right. Why? I feel that too, intensely that. As if you reach godness, you both have extreme intelligence and knows everything, but also this unbelievably generous, open love. Why not hate? Why not something else? But no. And they all have the same impact when you get down to it. That's what it unlocks, as if this thing that, of course, as apes, as animals in our in our evolution, we're not about that. We're about survival. We're about eating. We're about all the stuff that we know as humans we are. But that is something mysterious to me. I wrote a thing about this called Just Say Yes to Drugs, which is about the oddness of that happening. I have to tell you, but I've done MDMA, for example, in a big disco. I mean, my life is not what you would think of as that of a devout Christian. And all I can tell you is that when they gave me a bunch of MDMA in a big disco, I immediately get off the dance floor, go to a distant corner of the bar or the whatever complex it was, and look at the floor and think about the incarnation for 4 hours. That's what happened to me. I just get overwhelmed by godness when I do this. I can't help it. So, I mean, what am I to make of all this? Except it's, something's there, right?
I think that agape, I agree that is central to what we are trying to access. And one of the phrases that in the Bible that I think is most powerful is not in the Gospels, but in one of the other books. And the statement, God is love. And it is so simple that you get caught up in the ordinary meanings of love and the rest of it. But what we're really talking about is the thing that got Catherine started on this whole thing with the birth of the child, and that you have experienced. It's a wonderful that is what we're aiming for, and that's what's out there that we can access is such an attractive goal. The idea that at the bottom of everything that is meaningful about a human life is a transcendent quality called love that has none of the baggage that the word has in everyday life, and that all by itself kind of transforms life. And once again, I am in the position of the outsider looking in. I use the example at the conclusion of the book that I feel like the kid watching a party going inside and he can't get inside and his nose is pressed against the glass and wanting to join. And that's kind of the way I feel